Welcome back to Jimmy Here Live. Today we are watching. What are we watching? Something scary. Horrifying things that happen on horror movie sets. Horrifying things that happened on horror movie sets. I'm kind of a weenie. I don't watch many horror movies, but maybe this will dispel some of the illusion of what actually goes on behind the scenes. But then also, if it's kind of scary, maybe it's going to make it worse for me. But we're here going to watch it together. If you guys enjoy, make sure to subscribe, like the video, comment down below, and maybe put your favorite scary movie down in the comments. Get some popcorn. Get ready to get spooked. Woo!
This is a part 2 to the recent video I did of the scariest things to happen on horror movie sets. One of the movies on that list was The Conjuring. And
oh, hell no!
The first movie on this list will be Annabelle.
Oh, dude, okay, I'm already scared, dude. I'm already scared, man! I'm not a weenie!
Two supernatural occurrences while on set. The first came when he claimed to have seen 3 fingers drawn through dust on set multiple times. Which is disturbing because the demonic doll the movie is named after has 3 fingers. The second came when they shot their first scene with the demon actor in all his makeup.
Yo, he looks kind of sick.
They were filming in an old apartment building near Koreatown, Los Angeles, when the demon actor went up the elevator and headed to where the other actors were.
That looks cool.
But as he was walking down a hallway, a giant glass light fixture fell on an actor's head who was playing a janitor. To make matters even creepier,
what the hell?
In the script, that same hallway is where the demon kills the janitor. And the creepy on-set occurrences of the Conjuring universe don't end there. Corin Hardy, who directed The Nun, says that during production,
one of my most scary, one of the things I'm scared of most in like horror things is like old ladies. I know that sounds stupid as hell. If there was an old lady down the hall and she was creeping and she's possessed, yeah, you could probably run up and kick her into the sun. You could. She's an old lady. What is she gonna do? But dude, something about it is so scary. I just gotta remember they just go grandma sicko mode.
After completing the take, he turned to the men, but they were gone. To make things freakier, they would have had to pass him to leave the room. The 1982 movie The Poltergeist is a movie that is rumored to have been cursed. It's believed that this curse started after Steven Spielberg and Tobe Hooper decided to use real skeletons during a scene where Jobeth Williams' character falls into a swimming pool filled with skeletons, which unbeknownst to the cast, the skeletons were actually real, since using real ones would be cheaper than buying fake ones at the time.
Real skeleton? That's messed up. That's weird.
The majority of the fuel for the alleged curse stems from the deaths of multiple cast members. In total, 4 cast members died during and soon after the filming of the series.
Huh?
Carol Ann Freeling, the young protagonist of the trilogy, was played by Heather O'Rourke, and she was only 6 years old when the first Poltergeist film was released. Sadly, she was misdiagnosed with Crohn's disease in 1987, and the following year, she got sick again and was misdiagnosed with simply having the flu. But one day later, she collapsed and suffered a cardiac arrest.
Sad.
She died that day during an operation to correct a bowel obstruction. Dominique Dunn, who played the original older sister Dana Freeling, met an equally tragic and unforeseen fate. In November of 1982, Dominique's ex John Sweeney, who she had recently cut ties with, showed up at her house pleading for her to take him back. When she refused, he grabbed her neck and choked her until she was unconscious, leaving her to die in her driveway. Sweeney was sentenced to a horrendously lenient 6.5 years in prison, but was released after only 3 years and 7 months. Julian Beck played the evil preacher Kane from Poltergeist 2. In 1983, Julian had been diagnosed with stomach cancer, which took his life soon after he finished work on the second installment of the series.
Oh man.
The same film was met with further tragedy after Will Sampson, who played Taylor the Native American shaman, died after undergoing a heart-lung transplant, which had a very slim survival rate.
Damn, a heart and lung
Poltergeist
transplant?
remains a movie with one of the highest amount of tragedies to hit its cast members. Heather
I haven't seen this movie,
chap. To have haunted the set of another movie, though, the 1990 film Ghost. Not as much a horror movie, just a movie about the afterlife, but some believe there may have been a real supernatural presence on set. The movie involved Paramount Studios' Stage 19, where the sitcom Happy Days was filmed, a sitcom that Heather starred in 12 episodes for. Workers from the stage have experienced inexplicable power outages and have heard laughter late at night, laughter reminiscent of Heather. One night shift security guard who worked Stage 19 told about the paranormal activities that go on at the studio. The security guard claimed that almost every night he would hear running and laughing on the catwalk above the set, which is where Heather liked to play when she was on the set for Happy Days.
What
the security guard also told that sometimes workers would see the little girl playing on the stage. When asked what they do when they see her, the security guard replied that they usually just tell her to leave and she runs off. The Exorcist is undeniably one of the most well-known horror movies of all time, having become a household name. But lesser known is the fact that it's also notorious for having a supposedly haunted set. One of the eeriest examples is that the set of the McNeil's house caught fire. The Exorcist was faced with multiple production delays, but the first was by far the worst. The set for Regan's family home burned down in 1972 after a bird flew into the circuit box. The only part of the set that survived was the bedroom where the exorcisms would take place, with the chances of that being very slim.
What the f was trying to become Moltres?
Shooting taking over a year. After the incident, a real priest was called in to bless the set. During filming, Ellen Burstyn, who played the mother, Chris McNeil, suffered a spinal injury while being hoisted around on a harness. She claims to have been screaming to turn the cameras off and to stop pulling her, which was all dismissed or ignored. She was left on crutches for the rest of the production.
I had a rig around my midriff
what
with a wire
hell,
coming off the back, and the stuntman was pulling me too hard. I can get hurt.
Man, she should have
And
sued.
Billy said, well, it has to look real. I said, I understand, but I'm telling you, I could get hurt. And the stuntman was standing there listening to this, and Billy said to him, okay, don't pull her so hard. But as I turned away,
man.
I felt them exchange a look. You see me hit, and you see me reach for my back. I screamed in horrendous pain. Billy
Real
to Owen
Monka
to tilt
W.
the camera down on me.
The moment she fractured her lower spine was actually the footage that's in the movie, and the screams you hear in the movie are not acting, rather actual cries of pain, but the crew assumed she was only acting. But the real curse of the movie would be the deaths linked to the movie. They included Jack McGowran, who played the film director Burke Dennings. Ahead of the film's release, Jack tragically died from complications related to influenza. Vasiliki Maliaros, who played Father Damien Kara's mother, also passed away that same year before The Exorcist was
Remind
released,
me to never
reportedly
film
dying of
a
natural
horror
causes.
movie.
Both of their characters
Thanks,
in the movies
chat.
also died. During the production, a number of the cast and crew, including Linda Blair, who played Regan, and Max von Sydow, who played Father Merrin, also lost family members. And the son of Jason Miller, who played Father Karras, had
Holy
a near
crap.
fatal motorcycle accident
Do we
during
go ghost
filming.
hunting? Yeah, sure. Holy
The
crap.
1968 film Rosemary's Baby follows a failing actor who agrees to give up his wife's womb to Satan so he could have a taste of fame. It was an instant hit, but the satanic overtones of the film have led people to believe the film had been cursed, and a number of the cast and crew had suffered horrible fates because of it. To start, the composer for the soundtrack of the movie, Krzysztof Komeda, died in 1969 after falling off a rocky slope at a
He
party.
died in
He had entered a
69?
coma for 4 months until passing away.
That's
This is very similar to the death of the character Hutch in Rosemary's Baby. But if anybody were to have been hit the hardest by the alleged curse,
That's
it
so
would have to
sad.
be the film's director, Roman Polanski. Initially, he wanted to include his wife Sharon Tate in the film as Rosemary, but was overruled by the producer Robert Evans, who fought to cast Mia Farrow. Sharon was instead cast as an unnamed background character in a single party scene. A year after the film was released, Sharon and some of her friends were staying in a rented house in Los Angeles when Tex Watson and some girls from the Manson family broke in. The Manson family was a gang or cult led by Charles Manson that was active in California in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Tex Watson and the girls killed Sharon and all of her friends, inflicting more than 100 piercing wounds total among the 4 victims.
What the fuck?
Sharon Tate was 8 months pregnant when it happened. The alleged curse of the movie doesn't stop
there's
there,
a
though.
special place
The
in
Dakota
hell.
is a famous building in
There's a special place in hell. Holy sh!
The producer Robert Evans claimed that the whole time he felt uncomfortable in and near the building while on set. After the film was released, one of the producers, William Castle, was hit with kidney stones, and he claimed that during surgery, he began to hallucinate scenes from the film and even shouted, "Rosemary, for God's sake, drop that knife." He
That's
later
creepy,
admitted
dude.
in his autobiography that he was overall very frightened of Rosemary's Baby.
What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? That's insane. Remind me to never film a horror movie, okay? Who the hell is calling me? Hang on, Chad, I'm coming. I am looking at a notification real quick. Sorry. There's a part 1 to this. Let's watch the part 1 as well.
A lot of horror movies are legitimately scary, but in some cases, the events that took place on the sets of certain horror movies were more terrifying than the movies themselves. A number of horrifying incidents have taken place on the sets of some of the most successful horror movies of all time, before, during, or shortly after filming. Whether these incidents were fatal accidents, cruel twists of fate, or some sort of evil curse still remains debatable. Perhaps a good place to start would be the Amityville Horror House, whose events may start to seem even scarier.
Isn't this house, like, can't you, like, go see this house? Or, like, I think people sold it.
The first Amityville movie starred James Brolin, who wasn't originally eager to take on the role, but eventually he accepted it because of something strange.
It almost looks like
that
Christian
happened.
Bale.
While reading the script one morning and getting to a scary section of the story, a pair of the actor's pants suddenly fell off a hanger, causing him to literally jump out of his chair in fright. James, of course, saw this as a sign that he needed to take the role, and the rest was history. Fast forward to the 2005
He got jump scared by his
Ryan
pants.
Reynolds taking on the part that was originally played by James Brolin. During filming, Ryan Reynolds, along with other cast members, claimed that every morning at exactly 3:15 a.m., they would wake up. The reason why that's terrifying is because 3:15 a.m. was the exact time that Ronald DeFeo murdered his entire family in the house. And it becomes a whole lot more creepy. At one point during filming, there was also an actual dead body that washed up near the filming set in the boathouse in the backyard of the house.
What the
Actors
hell?
and crew members always suspected that there was an otherworldly presence during the filming of the movie.
How does
Whether
this
they
stuff
were right
always
or just
coincidentally
overly
happen,
paranoid,
man?
Who knows?
It's always
The
coincidentally.
2012 film The Possession is an unconventional horror movie that involves rabbis, Judaism, and a cursed Jewish relic called Dybbuk box that attaches itself to a young girl. A Dybbuk box is a wine cabinet claimed to be haunted by a Dybbuk, which is a malevolent wandering spirit that enters and possesses the body of a living person until exorcised. What happened on the set of The Possession left even the star of the movie, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, feeling very uneasy, and he already had a lot of experience acting in horror movies and shows under his belt. Some of the seemingly supernatural things that happened included lights exploding for no apparent reason, as well as chilly breezes wafting through closed sets for no particular reason. But the scariest incident occurred when the storage facility where all the movie props were being held caught fire and burned to the ground. A team of investigators concluded that the fire was not started from an electrical fault or arson, but the actual cause for the fire couldn't be determined. The Dybbuk box used in the movie, which played an important role in the movie, was destroyed in the fire, and the cast and crew later refused to allow the movie's producers to replace the Dybbuk box for fear that it was cursed.
What the hell?
The
Ryan
Conjuring
Reynolds
is
is
a movie
hot.
that's
Yeah,
supposed to be
I'm
based
coming.
on the
I
true
mean,
story of the Perron family, who claim to be tormented by supernatural entities in their Rhode Island home in the 70s.
He's hot, dude.
While several of the family members spent time on the set during filming, the mother refused to go anywhere near it, as she was convinced that several unexplained events that plagued the filming of this movie on set were proof that the spirits hadn't finished with them yet.
I'm gonna keep it about chat. I feel like people are always like, yeah, when we were filming this horror movie, like anything that got in our way, it just plagued the movie. It was like some force tried to stop us from making this movie. Man, things just happen, dude. Things just happen to like slow production. It's not some crazy thing.
When members of the Perron family were visiting, a furious gust of wind suddenly rose and seemed to swirl around them. However, nobody could see any movement in any of the trees just opposite them. Movement you'd expect to see from any
Some
normal
wind,
gust of
dude.
wind. Just a couple days later, the hotel that the actors and movie crew were staying in caught fire and everyone had to be evacuated. And it doesn't end there.
How? Why does people?
James
why
Wan,
do
the
things
movie's
keep?
director,
catching
recalls
fire?
working late in his office one evening when his dog started growling at something. He would get up to investigate, but he couldn't find anything that would be antagonizing the dog. However, the dog had his sights on something across the room. It seemed he had focused on an unseen entity in one corner of the room.
That's one of my
James took a
favorite
break
words.
From working after this,
Entity.
having been legitimately
Can you guess
freaked out.
why? Can you
Vera
guys guess why?
Farmiga, who played the role of a paranormal investigator in the film, refused to take the script home with her, as she said it made her
The
feel
dog's
uneasy.
out for free.
She also couldn't read it at night because she became paralyzed by fear whenever she tried. After a phone call discussion with James Wan, Vera opened her laptop screen, and there were 3 digital claw marks from the upper right diagonal to the lower left. this wasn't the last time
Dude,
it happened.
I
though.
hate this.
Her next
I hate
experience
that. I
came a
hate
few
that
months
so
later,
much. Dude,
literally
bro,
on the day that she completed
get it
work
off
on
the
The
screen.
Conjuring.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate
returned
it.
home to upstate
It's so
New
scary,
York,
man.
And when she woke up the next day, she discovered what she describes as 3 claw mark bruises across her thigh.
What the hell? Oh my god.
In 1983, a movie based on the Twilight Zone series was released. During filming, actor Vic Morrow was killed on the set. Deaths on movie sets have happened many times. But what makes this extra disturbing is the fact that Morrow appeared to predict his demise just a year earlier. A year before filming of the Twilight Zone movie began, Vic took out a $5 million life insurance policy on himself, explaining to friends and family members that he had a premonition something bad was going to happen to him on an upcoming movie.
$5
He had
million?
seen it in a dream he had.
Damn.
Unfortunately, his premonition came true, because while filming a scene involving a helicopter for the Twilight Zone, the helicopter crashed and decapitated him.
What?
2 child actors were also killed in the accident, which prompted a lengthy investigation and court case.
What the hell?
It was later revealed in court that the movie's concept artist unintentionally drew an identical image in his sketches to what actually happened. A burned-out helicopter in the middle of a river, essentially foreshadowing the accident. The accident led to civil and criminal action against the filmmakers, which lasted nearly a decade.
Damn.
One of the children's fathers testified
Peppa
that
Pig,
he
thank
heard
you for the
John
prime.
Landis, the director, instructing the helicopter to fly lower. All 4 parents testified that they were never told that there would be helicopters or explosives on set, and they had been assured that there would be no danger, only a lot of noise. John Landis and 4 other
danger,
crew members
just
were
noise.
found not guilty on the 3 charges of manslaughter, having been the first time a director was charged due to a fatality on a film set.
Damn, that's
The
insane.
1976 film The Omen is another horror classic following the tale of a young boy named Damien Thorne, who was replaced at birth by his father, unbeknownst to his wife, after their biological child died shortly after birth. As a series of mysterious events and violent deaths occur around the family, and Damien enters childhood,
Dude, if that were me, I would have just bent over.
so many horrible things happen on the set of The Omen that it can be comparable to the amount of bad things to happen in the movie. The tragedies began with the son of the lead actor Gregory Peck taking his own life as soon as filming began. The next incident was when a crew member suffered major injuries after getting into a car accident while driving. The tragedies didn't stop there. The scriptwriter's airplane was struck by lightning en route to the film's location. And if that weren't enough, an airplane in which Gregory Peck and the movie's executive producer were traveling in was also struck by lightning in a separate incident. Harvey Bernhard, the producer, was on location in Rome when he was almost hit by a bolt of lightning himself. And believe it or not, the horrible luck involving airplanes continued. And it got much worse. One day, the crew had decided to use a private airplane to get from one film location to the other. However, just after the plane took off with a number of the crew on board, something went wrong and the plane went down, crashing into a road and hitting a car, which then crashed at a high speed into another vehicle. All 11 people involved in the accident were killed. Another tragic death associated with the movie set was that of Liz Moore. John Richardson, the Omen special effects expert, was driving through the Netherlands with Liz Moore when they were involved in a terrible car accident. Richardson escaped with very minor injuries.
I'm gonna keep
Moore's
it a buck,
head was
chat.
completely severed when a tire smashed
I am
into their
never gonna
vehicle.
be a part of a
This
horror
incident was
movie.
eerily reminiscent of a scene in The Omen, in which the character Keith Jennings, investigating Damien's supernatural origins, is decapitated by a sheet of glass that comes loose from a vehicle on a construction site. Richardson later reported that just before the crash, he passed a road sign that read Omen, 66.6 kilometers. Make of that what you will, but there's no denying that it's not too far off to speculate that the production of The Omen may have been cursed. That, or it was all just an outrageous coincidence. All that can be said for sure is that The Omen is a very iconic movie, and the chilling tales that surround its production have only helped to cement that legacy.
Yeah, that's true. Somebody typed in the chat, big fat balls. That is actually the scariest part of all of this. Big fat balls. Claps in the chat for big fat balls. That is it for that chat. Say goodbye to the editor for this video. Suddenly Spoons tackling this bad boy. Hope Suddenly Spoons isn't afraid of spooky things.